Hello, Bible Beaters. Welcome to another episode of the Bible Beater Podcast. This is the Lord of Hosts, joined as always by the interrupter, Kyle Vessler. How's it going anyways, Kyle?
Forget your own name?
No, I just skipped it today.
Really?
I did feel
Too
like
many
I missed
syllables?
I do feel like I missed something.
You felt off pace.
This is the Lord of Hosts, Caleb Campbell, joined as always. That's how
By
I'm
the
supposed to do it.
interrupter.
Yeah. Sometimes I forget, Kyle. You know,
Yeah.
I've already done that once today, so it's kind of a chore, and you weren't there. I I said, this is the Lord of Hosts, joined as not as always. Yeah, I recorded an app for the Patreon today. That'll be coming out in a few weeks. It's very good, but we're not going to start with that, are we, Kyle?
No.
How's it going
we're not.
anyways?
Pretty not bad anyways.
Yeah? What'd you get up to this week?
Fucking nothing, dude.
Fucking nothing?
What is going on? I don't
Nothing.
know. Fucking breaking into my dad's house, going using his hot tub all the time.
Your dad's stuck in Mexico.
Still stuck in Mexico, just using his hot tub.
That's brutal. Camilla is a bit stuck in Canada. Well, she had to change her flight because...
She's not allowed back to Sweden now?
Well, she was flying through Amsterdam, who requires a PCR test and a rapid test. Why two tests, do you ask? No one knows.
Okay.
The country of Amsterdam's basically like, fucking don't come here. We're going to make it really expensive. She's not even able to get a rapid test, so she's had to change her flight. Bullshit.
To where?
She's going through Frankfurt now.
Oh, okay.
Which is the Germans. You have to get that test if you're staying there, but if you're just passing through Germany, it's
They're like, fuck it.
fuck it. I did one of those. I learned something about myself this week. Do you ever? I recommend. So we watched Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, that movie.
Yeah, classic.
That's what I said, right? I hyped it. I hyped it like crazy because I hadn't seen it since I was maybe in high school. And when I watched it,
holds up.
It did not hold up.
It absolutely holds up.
When's the last time you've seen it?
Few years ago.
I guess because you can't do acid, and that's what it's really like. Because I watched this movie in high school, and I thought it was profound. That's what a drug trip's really like. All this shit. And then I watched it now, having done all the drugs practically that they do in the movie, and I was like, that's not what that's like. This movie is ridiculous. It's just a lot of tilted camera, red lights, and like loud noises.
You think that's what the movie is?
I thought
it's accurate drug trip?
No, it wasn't.
It's a character movie.
It's a character movie. I mean, I've read
the drug trip part is just the emphasis of how much of a lunatic the guy is.
But the whole movie is totally wacky and nonsensical. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
I fucking hated it.
Really?
I thought it sucked. I thought it did not hold up at all.
It's a character movie, dude.
I'm reading right now.
I can't stand people who watch movies and go, oh, it didn't make any sense. The plot made no sense.
Well, it really did.
It was...
What was dude, it was Captain Jack Sparrow in Vegas was really what it was.
This was first.
I know it was
so
first.
It's not.
But the character is the same as Captain Jack Sparrow. He's just like walking around on leaning back with his hands, doing all that shit, and he's I am Ahab. I don't know.
That's why I think Bill Murray's was better.
Bill Murray's...
Where the Buffalo Roam. He played a more accurate Hunter S. Thompson.
Not seen it. Not even heard of it.
A lot of people haven't heard of it. It's really fucking good.
I'm going to check it out because I'm reading right now Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail, and I've read the Kentucky Derby.
But he does this shit, though. Like Hunter S. Thompson.
Oh, yeah. He's
all the time. He's fucking...
Johnny Depp was by far the best part of the movie, right? And he did a good Hunter S. Thompson. But
everyone in the movie, great. The chaos. The movie's about chaos.
I thought
and you're like, the drugs trip isn't accurate?
Yeah. I mean, really, that's not what doing acid is like. That's not what doing psilocybin's like. That's not what fucking coke is like.
Who's to say what doing acid is like is relative to whoever does it?
Fair enough. I mean, sometimes...
He saw dinosaurs.
Sometimes doing acid is holding yourself on a beach, thinking it's nighttime when it's morning, and saying, we're fucked.
We're fucked. The sun!
We missed a whole day.
It's the whole day. It's going down.
Verge fucked us. We need to gather firewood.
Son of a bitch. You know what? Let's break all his shit.
Is that what acid is like for you? I mean, I wish the movie was fresher in your mind, because it really is. They're driving in, bats attack the car, they go into the lobby, there's blood everywhere, dinosaurs, then there's like 40 minutes of them yelling at each other in the bathtub.
You don't think anyone's done acid where that's happened to them?
No, because you don't see things that aren't real.
Disagree.
I never saw anything that I wanted to. I wanted to trip balls. I did like I did like 3 tabs of acid one time. I was like, I want to see things that do not exist. Like fucking fry my brain. And you have a lot of imaginings, like what if this happened, and your brain goes down that road. But I never truly saw dinosaurs. I never saw any of that shit. The colors were bright. Everything was breathing and swirling around.
I think there's drugs you can take that'll make you full on visually hallucinate.
I mean, salvia is supposed to do that.
DMT does it, I think.
I've not tried that one yet.
Although the guy that I'm listening to that says it does that says you have to be in a dark room naked with him, so.
Who's? Oh, yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that
So otherwise,
yeah.
So Young T, he did that, and he saw God. You can take what you mean for that.
Oh, God.
I would really like you to chime in here.
I did ayahuasca, but I did do DMT.
And
Same thing.
The DMT actually worked, and yeah, you do.
you saw God.
No.
Yeah, he was heels to Jesus.
Okay, but
You hallucinate for like
They were.
a minute.
and what did that feel like? If you can, I know that's a really hard thing to describe.
It's
Describe
honestly, like you just see like a bunch of like
Makes
shapes-
everyone's
shapes-
penis look smaller.
Shapes just turn into letters. It's just all like those pictures of like DMT stuff. It's those kind of patterns that you see.
it. Do you think
Salvador Dali melting clocks everywhere, or what?
It's just like a wormhole.
that sounds
Through all
dope?
shit.
That
It
sounds
is
like
pretty
the
dope.
trip that I want to take.
Yeah, and then you snap out of it right away.
You're like, I want to fucking lose my mind on drugs, but you haven't done any of the drugs that do that.
I've done
Smoke PCP, you pussy.
Never had an
Fucking
opportunity.
smoke it.
Never had an opportunity.
Go on the dark web, buy PCP, and smoke it.
I've done pretty much every drug I could think of. I've not done PCP. I've smoked crack. I've smoked
DMT?
meth. I've not done DMT. I've done
What are the other psychotics?
acid, psilocybin, mushrooms, which are almost the same but a
They're
little bit
fairly
different.
tame. You want what you
Ketamine,
want is psychotics.
Ketamine.
Yeah.
Apparently, ketamine is PCP.
No, it's not. They're both tranquilizers. They are not the same.
I mean, start naming drugs. I've probably done them.
I'm trying to think. Here's the thing. There's a whole
Done
form.
it twice.
If you really want to lose your mind, just take research chemicals. There's like 1,000 of them now, and they all make you go fucking crazy.
fill my brain. I only want to hear.
Yeah.
I should put the caveat. I want to lose my mind for 20
Temporarily,
minutes or an
yes,
hour.
everyone, yes,
Yes.
But if you truly take a drug that will make you lose your mind, there's a chance you're not coming back, and that's part of the losing your mind experience.
No, I want to
If you
have.
truly lose your mind,
Yeah.
there's a chance you might not come back.
I want to misplace my mind. I want to misplace it and then
Well, that
come
drug
back.
doesn't exist.
Come back to it. I don't want to lose my mind
you
for
have
good.
you have to risk your mind in order to do that. That's the gamble.
Intersexuality.
Well, I'll jump off that cliff. Do you know? I mean,
Get you some research chemicals. Here's what I'll do. I'll get you some acid where they take one of the molecules and move it slightly, because that's how they make every research chemical. They take a stable drug and make it unstable, and then go, here you go.
Caleb will do this.
Yeah, what if we changed it? What if we slightly change a chemical bond here and here, and it's effectively the same, but for some reason our body goes absolutely crazy when doing it.
What I heard about bath
Oh,
salts,
bath salts. Yeah, I was just gonna
didn't
say.
try it. I thought about trying
Dude,
it.
you're all talk.
And then I saw
You'll talk about losing your mind.
Fuck you. When's the last time you did crack?
I don't
or
want to
smoked
lose
meth?
my mind. I don't want that. I'm barely hanging on as it is.
Man, have you seen the videos of people on bath salts just like scraping their chests on the fucking concrete and shit?
No.
It's graphic. It's not a good
That was a
thing.
research chemical, right?
I don't know what it was. I think somebody was really poor and they're like, what if we smoked this? And
I think it was a research chemical because it wasn't actually. It was never really marketed as bath salts, just the gas stations. Like how crack pipes are marketed as vases
Yeah.
for a single flower.
well,
Yeah. Does your flower only need 1 tablespoon of water? We have the vase for you. Does it not stand up on its own? We have the vase for you.
that's why. I mean, those fucking hilarious loopholes that everybody knows are hilarious. Like that's funny to me that they.
Remember all those boner pills that you could get in like they don't have them anymore because every time I see one in a bathroom I try to buy it.
Having some problems, Kyle?
You can't buy them anymore. But they were full of like amphetamines and Viagra. That's all it was. It was
Okay.
They pretended it to be herbal, but they're from China. And China doesn't so
You were snorting boner
I didn't
pills.
do it. But once I found out, I was like, this will be fun to buy and then give to one of my friends that'll for sure do it.
You ever tried boner pills?
No.
I
have half of one in my bathroom
I want to try it.
for emergencies.
Mark
only.
Maron says, the comedian Mark Maron says, you owe it to yourself to do it one time to fuck on.
That's what
Viagra.
scares me, though. You know, I don't want to set a new baseline where I'm disappointed with having sex now.
Yeah, I lost my virginity on ecstasy, and so I don't know if that affected my sexuality, but it really, I don't know.
Did you fuck a man on ecstasy?
No.
Okay, so it probably didn't affect it that much. Your
Uh,
sexuality, was that the right word?
probably not the right word. What I meant was,
Your
I had a pretty
sexual
high
drive.
bar.
Your what's the one that starts with your
Libido.
Libido. There we go.
Libido.
You had a high
Anyways,
bar. You fuck like a champ on ecstasy. How long do you fuck on ecstasy?
the entire night without coming.
See, that's a low bar. That sucks.
Yeah. I was really disappointed, not like with the whole experience, because I was told I was going to fall in love and it was going to be special. And
They lied about all drugs.
yeah,
When you're young, I thought weed was gonna blow my fucking mind, and I
Acid
was
did,
so
though.
excited. Yes, it did. That did. I thought every weed movie is a lie too, but they're still fun movies.
Do you
know?
like weed?
No. Weed is the worst oversold drug there
I
ever
like
existed.
it. I smoke it every day.
Maybe I can't metabolize it properly, or any drug properly. That's a possibility. But none of them do what everyone else says they do.
Doesn't make you chill. It makes you anxious.
No, weed just does nothing. Literally nothing until I smoke a certain amount and then I pass out.
that
I
sounds-
just pass out. It never gets fun. There's no fun part. There's
never got, like, giggles?
nothing. I don't know. No giggles. No munchies.
You never been
no
like
nothing.
oh man, what am I thinking about? I'm thinking about what I'm thinking about. And then
No.
just started laughing to yourself.
No. It goes from that to being so dizzy I gotta lay down and then I pass out.
Well, don't you heard it here first, guys? Don't smoke weed.
You don't do drugs. Drugs are bad, okay?
Do you remember what we read about last week, Kyle?
Was it drugs?
No, it was about Asa or Asa, the king of Israel. So Israel is in the midst of a civil war right now, and the north is fighting against the south, and the south called in the
Mercenaries.
mercs from further north,
They're enemies.
and they sandwiched Israel from each side
I
and
gotta-
fought to a stalemate. Yeah,
Like, if you hire a mercenary, right? Or
yeah.
a bunch of mercenaries that are effectively your enemy.
They're
Were
not.
they not enemies?
When you purchase them, mercenaries are soldiers for hire.
I understand that. But they're from a place that is your enemy.
Not necessarily.
No, these ones.
They could have been historic enemies. It's from at different times. Like even look at countries now. I mean, at one time Canada was at war with Germany twice in the last 100 years.
That's a good.
We're
point.
kind of allies now. It changes, and
And once they got rid of all that Nazi shit.
so the point is, I mean, you could hire mercenaries from your enemies. You could be like, "Yo, I'm sick of fighting you guys. What if I just gave you a bunch of money and you fought those guys?"
I mean-
like Genghis Khan did that all the time. They were some of the best at turning their enemies into allies.
Mm-hmm.
You have your allies. You have just neutral parties. You even maybe sometimes the country you're fighting, you can break off a piece of it and turn them. I don't know, man. There's many different ways mercs can work out.
Just they're opportunistic, only doing it for the money.
It's hard to say.
Mercenaries.
Well,
By definition.
by
right?
definition, yes, but there's like,
Anyone can have personal motive. I'm just saying mercenaries kill whoever's paying them.
basically, yeah.
Whoever they want them to kill.
Yeah, by definition. But there's
What is stopping them from being a more powerful army just going, okay, we killed them, now let's keep going?
they do that. They did do that. The Romans in
See,
Cremona.
that seems like a giant risk.
They had
getting mercenaries,
these
who are
mercenaries.
way better fighters than you.
Yeah, and then they won the war, and then the mercenaries like, actually, we're staying, and we're gonna keep all these women as our wives. Like that's
Yeah,
happened.
this is better. Actually, this is better than what we had over there, and we'll kill you too.
There's
Your choice.
the famous story of I think it's the 10,000 Greek mercenaries who fought for the Persians, and the Persians lost, and the winning army so the Persians were fighting each other, and the winning faction of the Persians invited all the leaders and generals of the losing side. Look, you've lost. We're gonna sort this out. And then they killed all the leadership. So Xenophon led his 10,000 Greeks fighting the entire way back from the middle of Persia to Greece. So like he's being harried by armies the entire way back. It's a fantastic story.
That's badass.
Yeah.
I always wondered why those meetings that they depict in like TVs and shows, and movies, something.
Yeah.
Things on the moving pictures. I always wondered why the call to meetings never ended in massacres all the time.
They do. I mean, there's
like, why would you
famous
ever
ones.
send your leaders?
Well,
With
you
like
have
3 guards.
I mean,
Send a messenger.
you could, but I don't. I mean, there's the famous like Black Dinner. That's when the Campbells invited the McGregors over and fucking killed them all in Scotland. You know, the fictional Red Wedding in Game of Thrones is based off that.
See, that's the kind of what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the Jews did it. The Israelis did it. Remember, they invited their first. I can't remember which people group it was, but their neighboring people. They're like, look,
Palestinians.
let's be the same. You know, let's make our dicks look similar. Let's cut off the tips of your dicks. And then after they did that, they went over there in the middle of the night and Simeon and Levi and killed them all.
Just humiliating the men before you murder them.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is a tactic. The thing is, if you do that, your reputation is tarnished for, let's say, 100 years. Like, don't fucking trust
Probably more.
the Campbells.
Till now, really. Do people trust Jews now?
I mean,
They're known as swindlers. For thousands of years, this reputation has followed
well, the
them.
Christians did that to them.
What do you mean?
Well, the anti-Semitism is a Christian invention because Christians.
Well, not really. If any
No,
of this is true.
Well, because Christians
assume.
made this up.
Yeah.
Well,
Did they, though?
well, the Jews had their own
Didn't
book.
God make that?
So this is the Jewish part of the book.
Yeah,
but
there's some very non-flattering things in the Jewish part of the book.
afterwards, though, once they open up God to remember, the Jews are God's chosen people.
Yeah.
So they're above
Which
everybody.
Christians still believe, correct?
They help.
They have to, because why do they want the Jews to go back to Israel for the...
So the end times can happen. So yeah,
Yeah.
most Christians do, but not. It's a controversial
I know
thing.
you can't say everyone.
Yeah, but it's a controversial thing.
Just like the last Christian you had on the last bonus episode of
Who's
the
that?
Bioreaders podcast, who only believes in Jesus, but not really.
oh yeah.
So I get that there's a spectrum.
Yeah, there's a spectrum.
Yeah, she's on the more autistic part of the spectrum related to the Bible, where you believe whatever the fuck you want. That's a fun way to believe in God.
That's actually what
God is actually whatever I want.
That's in fact what every Christian does, because there's no way to read the Bible unless you're literal, and that makes you a moron.
Yeah.
So you have to interpret it, and by definition, every Christian has their own interpretation, and that's why there's literally something like 40,000 factions of Christianity. If you really drill
Really?
down on all of them, I don't know. That's what Tina Marie said today.
Be fun to get them all in a room and just ask a question you know they'd all disagree with.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they can't agree on the book. So the book is supposed to be this oracle from God, and they're all saying you're reading it wrong. And here we are. But I think we should read it. What do you think, Kyle?
I think that's what we're here for.
That's
baby.
what we're here for. So I told you we're in the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of left in the middle of the chapter last week. We're in 1 Kings chapter 15, verse 25. Nadab, son of Jeroboam, became king of Israel in the 2nd year of Asa, king of Judah. He reigned over Israel 2 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, walking in the ways of his father and in his sin, which he had caused Israel to commit. Now, if you remember, Jeroboam was his father, right? And I just want to read this again, just to refresh
Jeroboam was whose father?
Nadab's father. Nadab is the
fucking
new
names.
king.
Nadab is the new king.
Nadab is the new
What
king
about
of Israel.
Abijah or whatever?
Abijah is current king of Judah. So
these are the
Abijah's king of the
opposing
south.
kings.
Yeah, and now the king of the north has shifted from
name?
Jeroboam
Nadab?
to Nadab.
Nadab.
And I'm going to read to you what was prophesied over King Jeroboam. We've already
His
read
father,
this.
Nadab's father.
This is from 1 Kings 14, verse 10. Because of this, I'm going to bring disaster on the house of Jeroboam. I will cut off from Jeroboam every last male in Israel, slave or free. I will burn up the house of Jeroboam as one burns dung, until it is all gone. Dogs will eat those belonging to Jeroboam who die in the city, and the birds of the air will feed on those who die in the country. The Lord has spoken. Yet, flash forward a few years, his son is inheriting the throne. He's doing evil in the eyes of the Lord.
Yep.
It's just an obvious, it's like a 2-chapter example of God not living up to his own word.
Do we know, like 100%, like, do we know for a fact that God does not get a period?
What does that mean? Like, no, he's a man, father, son, all those things.
Do we know that? Because...
Yes, God the Father. Man is
Because-
made in his image. Jesus became flesh. He had a dick.
Because that could be PMS.
You think he's just PMS?
Could be PMS.
I think it's more like remember the retard
And
angry
then now
God?
he's just like, yeah, I'm sorry. That was just crazy.
I spazzed a little bit.
I don't really feel that way.
Yeah. So Nadab is king of Israel in the north. He's doing evil in the eyes of the Lord, walking in the ways of his
Do
father.
you guys have a PMS equivalent?
Not really. Blue balls,
That's what I was thinking.
but I don't
not
think
really.
it's blue balls isn't even true. Like I don't think it exists.
It's absolutely true.
Uh,
I've never had it, but medically it's a real thing.
like
It's not medically called.
if you twist your
Not
nut,
torque nuts. That's different.
that's
Torsion.
yeah, that's
You can get an infection by backing up your cum. It's a real thing. So if your girlfriend, for whatever reason, decided she like halfway through banging a
my
lot,
wife.
your wife, my
Yeah.
wife. I wasn't even really talking about you.
I
I
know.
was talking about a royal.
Anyone, the royal
yeah,
you.
the royal girlfriend, the pretend girlfriend we all have.
Okay.
Yeah, the pretend one I have in this scenario.
Ex-girlfriend, current wife.
Like you love this shit, eh?
Camilla came up with that actually. This is my ex-boyfriend, current husband.
We broke up, got married.
Yeah. That's exactly where it came from.
That's
Came from.
from. Fucking rocking and rolling. The hell was I talking about?
You're backing up your cum.
Oh yeah, well, literally. If you like stop, if you don't nut, but you get yourself worked up, so it's like you're loaded the gun,
Yeah.
but you're not firing. So you just keep on putting bullets in. Now it's jammed. That's what happens. You can get an infection.
I guess only your cousin who didn't know how to jerk off that would have that happen to him.
It happens to guys whose girlfriends cuck them and don't let them come.
Then
Which is
jerk
very-
yourself off.
This is very little people.
You know,
Who wants to do that though? I would never.
everybody jerks themselves off. When's the last time you?
No, I just meant over a girl that doesn't want to fuck you.
Oh, I wouldn't think of her. I'd look at porn.
That's what I mean. So your options are to like, all right, show me your tits, let me jerk off on them, which is shameful, so goddamn shameful, or you're just looking at porn in another room or beside them.
Beside her.
Besi-
Join me.
I've never done that. I'm not against it. Not against guys that do.
I
But
have. It's a power move. Anyways,
that's boss. That is boss.
Jesus was a man.
Do you play the sounds loud and be like, see?
No, I was
Be
just
like,
like,
see that? See, that's what you should be sounding like.
no, I
but
did
you
it like
don't.
I used to jerk off to my brothers, real quietly, just real fast,
That's
dirty.
worse.
No, I'm kidding.
That's shameful
No,
again.
I'm kidding.
Also, I'm gonna brush by the jerk off next to my brother's thing, and we can move right on.
We all 4 boys on bunk beds on the squeaky bed. You just can't move really a lot. That's never mind. Jesus, Jesus, you're breathing too heavy, Judah. We can all hear you.
You all shared a room?
Yeah, till I was like,
4 bunk beds.
yeah, or 2 bunk beds, 4 beds. You know,
Bunch of horny boys.
bunch of horny boys. Dude, we shared bunk beds, hot tubs, making some Campbell's soup.
Magazines. Pages stuck together. You guys ever just get a TV going? A couple socks?
No, no,
Just have a
never,
sesh?
never
Have a
once.
group sesh?
Never once.
Only in a hot tub. Is it okay?
Yeah. Well, that's before we even knew what was going on, but that's besides
Did
the point.
Sim pretend to also do it? Because he was like too young?
I, in fact, lied in the joke. Sim was never a part of it.
Yeah, he couldn't be.
Yeah. But Jesus.
Otherwise, you'd be like
Jesus Christ!
Otherwise, you'd be like 18 jerking off with your 12-year-old brother, which is
Yeah.
wild. It's like it's kind of like a cute coming of age story. Like it's, and then it's like you're just an adult jerking off with a child now.
Incestuously.
Incestuous.
Incestuous pedophile.
And you're like, shut up!
But I want to make the point.
I'm trying to jerk off. Yeah.
Speaking of blue balls and backed up cum, though, Jesus was remember, fully God and fully man.
The ultimate blue baller.
And he said if you even look at a woman lustfully, you should gouge out your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So we know he didn't jerk off. Or at least that's what's claimed in the text. So it's possible
the
Jesus...
original gay,
he suffered
Jesus
from,
Christ.
Dude, he suffered from blue balls. Jesus must have.
No, he wasn't attracted to women.
Mm,
If you look at a woman lustily, gouge out your eyes.
so Jesus was gay?
Yes, Jesus was a fucking homo, dude.
Well, then you'd still want it, like, you'd still have sexual
Well,
feelings.
Jesus is...
He would have to be asexual.
It never says anything about men, number one. Number two, Jesus is God.
Yeah.
And what do we know about God?
What about him?
Pretty fucking gay.
So far.
Pretty fucking gay so far.
But
And that's him. That's his son, which is God's come. God's come is going to be even gayer.
yeah, it's
When you think about it.
it's all God's come and half. Is it Mary?
None of it's Mary.
Well,
It's like a surrogate.
she was okay. So he didn't fertilize Mary's eggs.
Could you imagine God being half God, half human being if that was actually possible?
Well, he's actually half
Fully
man,
God.
half God, half pig. Man, God, pig.
Man, God, pig.
No, but
He's also half himself.
he's fully God and fully man. That's what Christians believe. So
Yeah.
he must have had a working set of balls that
Yeah.
produced jizz.
Of course.
So he must have had at least wet dreams.
Well, if you'd like to know
what do you
would-
think Jesus wet dreamed about?
I know exactly. Whatever Chad did.
Whatever-
Whatever Chad did. Wet dreamed till he got crucified.
Do you think about fucking crosses and like he's a carpenter, so he's like thinking of like the perfect fucking house. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what I'm trying to think of what Jesus would wet dream about.
You think he wet dreams about his job? Is that what you do?
No, never once.
What a weird thing to say. Probably wet dreams about wood and planing.
If it's not,
and planing.
if it's
The whole point is wet dreams you can't control. So
but are
whatever he's into.
that's sinful though to think lustful
He
thoughts.
probably has
That's a thought crime. It's a sin to think lustful thoughts.
even in your dreams.
Even in your dreams.
Is a dream a thought? No, that's a question.
Of course it is. It exists inside your head.
All thoughts are dreams?
Of course.
And all ideas inside your head are thoughts.
How could a dream not be a thought?
That's an abstract question. Because they're magical.
Yeah, you're
don't know,
retarded.
yeah.
You're retarded. All right. Moving
I for
on.
sure am.
So he did evil in the eyes of the Lord, walking in the ways of his father and his sin, which he had caused Israel to commit. I love that one guy caused a whole country to
Which
sin.
verse are you on?
We're in verse 27. Baasha, son of Ahijah of the house Issachar, plotted against him, and he struck him down at Gibbethon, a Philistine town, while Nadab and all Israel were besieging it. Baasha killed Nadab in the 3rd year of Asa, the king of Judah, and succeeded him as king. As soon as he began to reign, he killed Jeroboam's whole family. There you go. That is the prophecy fulfilled. Finally.
Okay.
As soon as he began to reign, he killed Jeroboam's whole family. He did not leave Jeroboam anyone that breathed, but destroyed them all, according to the word of the Lord given through his servant. I guess I have to eat my
So
words.
Jeroboam's whole family? Okay, go on.
What I just read at the beginning about how God didn't do that.
He just did.
Well, Baasha did, but yeah, you'd say it says
Dear
just
God.
as the Lord commanded. So they were right and I was wrong. I have to admit that.
So the new king is dead.
Nadab dies.
Yeah.
Baasha kills him.
Mm-hmm. Who the
And-
fuck is Baasha?
He's the new guy. It's just like all these stories. It's just like a king.
A king
He
killing
reigns,
him,
dies.
yeah.
They did evil or they did good. Dies.
And it's usually because God told him to, or the other one did bad, and
It's a way. I mean, have
God
you ever?
picks a new favorite.
I was about to ask you,
just
have you
like-
ever read an old history, but of course you haven't.
No,
have you
what's-
ever read?
Red?
Read. It's the same.
Read. Like the color.
No. So, anyways, if you read like history from right after Roman times, like medieval history, especially around like France or Britain, maybe Germany, if you read it, if it's a Christian chronicler, you'll see. And then the Lord caused this king to do, like it reads just like a Bible verse. Like God is doing literally everything that happens. It's all. it's men doing what they do and they're having wars and stuff, but the chroniclers record it, and then God caused this king to rise up. This is kind of like how the Bible's written. It's like God's doing all this stuff, but it's really just people, and the chroniclers write it down as if it was all meant to go this way. This convoluted, weird plan is all God's plan, right?
Do you ever play like a board game when you were younger, where when you like landed on the person's piece, their piece had to go back home or was out, or
Chess?
the concept?
Yep.
Chess, but
Getting
more
into
childish.
Trouble.
Is what I was thinking.
Snakes and ladders.
Yeah. So when you were a kid and you I didn't gracefully remove their piece from the board.
Fuck you and
Yes.
fuck your family.
Yes. I would throw it as far or flick it as far as it could go across the room, as I'm yelling obscenities at their face. And that's what I'm imagining God is doing with these kings. Just
Fuck Jeroboam and fuck his family.
Hey, there's another one. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, there we go.
That's a cool sound. So, that sounded weird.
Dude, it's like drugs.
So, as soon as he began to
Probably
reign, he
acid.
killed Jeroboam's whole family. He did not leave Jeroboam anyone that breathed, but destroyed them all, according to the word of the Lord.
All the babies?
I just have to eat my words here, because I've been saying for 3 podcasts that God didn't follow up on his thing, and I forgot totally that God does. I should know better than them not to fulfill.
They've done it
promise.
all the time.
What do you mean?
They've made claims that God's made claims that he was going to do something to someone's family and then not done it.
No, most of the time he follows
Most of
up.
the time, but I'm pretty sure we've had.
Most of the time, how I read it is they interject this is what actually happened, and then before that happened, they're like, God's gonna kill you, just so you know. Like,
Yeah.
if the king's whole family dies, they're like, he must have done evil, and then they write, earlier God prophesied that his whole family would die, and now look, prophecy fulfilled.
It'd be funny if we did that to actual people. Like, it wouldn't be funny, but if we lived in like a biblical representation of the world,
Yeah,
where after someone dies, we just decide that God killed them for a reason. Like, anyone that dies early, you look at anyone's, instead of being
Rush
like,
Limbaugh.
this person was a great human being, don't speak ill of the dead. We just constantly spoke ill of the dead.
I mean-
dug up every bad thing the person's ever done and went, this is why they're dead. They deserved it.
That's-
like someone gets hit by a bus and we go, this fucking bitch pulled a girl's hair out in grade 3.
That's
and
kind of actually how history was written most of the time. It's written by the winners. Napoleon said, "What is history but lies agreed upon?" We can, that the winners said some shit. They're like, they deserved all this. Like,
oh, absolutely.
had the Nazis won World War II, they would have been like, look, we had to, conquer all of Europe. They were doing some shit, and we're actually the good guys. You wouldn't believe what Britain was doing,
It wouldn't even be like you wouldn't believe what he was doing. It's like, look, we succeeded. We got rid of them.
Well, that
Type of thing.
But it would also say they would, of course, be like, we were justified in our conquest because
Yes.
they were evil.
Uh-huh.
That's what you
absolutely.
always do.
Yeah. And then the rest of the world was evil for trying to stop them from doing a good thing.
So back to the Bible. He destroyed them all. But destroyed them all according to the word of the Lord, given through his servant Ahijah the Shilonite. Because of the sins Jeroboam had committed and had caused Israel to commit, and because he provoked the Lord, the God of Israel, to anger. As for the other events of Nadab's reign and all he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of kings of Israel? There was a war between Asa and Baasha, kings of Israel, throughout their reigns. Baasha, king of Israel. In the 3rd year of Asa, king of Judah, Baasha, son of Ahijah, became king of all Israel and in Tirzah. And he reigned 24 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, walking in the ways of Jeroboam and his sin, which he had caused Israel to commit.
Is he a descendant of Jeroboam or no?
No, he
just did as Jeroboam does.
He is son of Ahijah of the house of Issachar.
That clarifies it.
It doesn't really clarify anything. It's funny, though, that God goes, Jeroboam's family was so bad, we have to kill them all. Then the guy that kills them all and succeeds him as king reigns for 24 years, and he did evil in the eyes of the Lord.
Yep.
God picked another stinker.
You don't want to be a tool of God is really the lesson you need to gain.
Well, like David was a tool of God, a righteous man. Mm-hmm. He's got all the good propaganda.
God uses tools like I use tools.
How's that?
I buy cheap ones
Power fist.
and then use them till they break and then smash them. in anger.
Princess Otto.
Yes. Why is this $25 hammer drill not doing what I want it to do? Fucking piece of shit. That's what God's doing with people. He's picking Princess Otto. He's picking. I don't even know what the one's called in the
Power Fist.
Yeah, Power Fist. He's picking Power Fist. He's Princess Otto Jews.
Oh my God!
Smashing them when they don't work.
I worked for this guy who was basically like he was like
It's
me.
not Princess Otto.
He was like a good enough framer, which means he's a terrible fucking framer, right? Close enough. So like,
oh, that was his mentality.
his mantra.
Jesus Christ!
Like instead of like fixing a wall, he would like plane the top of it. So he had
Are
this,
you kidding?
I had to fix this. We had this wall that was too high, and I had to plane
What?
with the fucking Power Fist planer, and then I planed it too low, and then we had to fucking shiv it up. It was like the most garbage construction anyone's ever seen. Kyle's face right now is like,
Oh, those garbage people. And then someone's paying. The funny thing is, someone's paying like $500,000 for that guy to do that.
so around here, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not very many cheap houses in the Okanagan Valley. Chapter
It's funny. I was
16.
trying to think of any construction.
Mhm.
Last time I was doing construction, I had to work. I was just doing a demo job with my dad, but it was in an old house. A lot of old houses in Kelowna.
Mhm.
And in an old house, everything shifted, and none of the walls are straight. And this old crotchety old bastard we were doing it for, he's a cunt. He's an old cunt.
Did he build it himself?
He didn't, but he wanted it like effectively redone for minimal money as if it was a new house.
Mm-hmm.
So he wanted us, we had to scrape the baseboard, the moldings, scrape and then fill the nail holes and shit. But nothing was level. So it wasn't level in the first place because all the walls have shifted. They're all wavy. So we had to put wavy fucking boards up because that's what the walls are like. And then he bitched about it. It's like, dude, your house is 100 years old.
Tear it down and start.
Yeah,
burn it down,
if
start
that's what you
again.
want, build a new fucking house.
Chapter 16. Then the word of the Lord came to Jehu, son of Hanani. Sorry. Then the word of the Lord came to Jehu, son of Hanani, against Baasa. I lifted you up from the dust and made you leader of my people Israel. But you walked in the ways of Jeroboam and caused my people Israel to sin and provoked me to
So
anger
now Jeroboam's a dirty word.
by their sins. Yeah, he's a bad.
Generations down.
Yeah, we're now. So Jeroboam was king for like 20 some years.
He never really had a shot, though, right? He was condemned.
No, he.
Because his dad was. What the fuck was his dad's name? The one that God liked, right?
I
His
think
dad?
no. This is when Solomon was his dad, and there was Rehoboam and Jeroboam. That's when the country split into two parts.
Who's the king that God liked? So it was like your descendants.
David.
And Solomon is son of David.
David, Solomon's the next one.
Mm-hmm.
It's the son of David and Bathsheba. The first son of David and Bathsheba was killed by God as punishment to David.
So David is doing bad shit, but God loved him anyways because he was his boy.
Yeah.
Got his dick sucked a bunch.
Yep.
And then Solomon, he's like, yeah, you're kind of shitty, but your dad gave me hella blowjobs,
Yep.
so you're good.
Yeah.
And your kid's good too.
Both your kids are good.
And then everyone else is fucked, so they never really had a chance.
Well, they kind of had a chance. I mean, at the beginning it says Jeroboam did not, like, they were like, you can follow God or not, and Jeroboam didn't. And then God said, I'm going to kill you. But he lived for 24 years.
And he was like, bring it, faggot.
Yeah.
Really?
So again, then God killed his firstborn son
Yeah. He's like, you think I care about that bitch?
by means
I
of
care-
his wife walking home, right?
Yeah, my wife killed that kid.
Yeah,
She
that-
went for a walk and murdered him. What are you talking about?
I thought your metaphor was perfect. Of I loaded the gun and pointed it at my own head or my son's head, but she pulled the trigger. And fuck her.
That bitch.
Then he reigns for all this time, and then his kid takes over, and then in the second year of that, he's assassinated by a new guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then the new guy is shitty, but he reigns for 24 years, and God's like, I thought that guy was going to be better. Shoot crap.
Yeah, without God's intervention, like this is all God intervening and manipulating all the puzzle pieces in a really 4D chess way.
That's what it says. But when you read it, doesn't it sound like just normal politics?
Well,
So an unpopular king gets assassinated. Of course, he kills the whole family of that guy. That's what you do when you take over a throne, like over a country. You kill the family.
Let's say without divine intervention, the exact same thing was happening all over the world.
Right?
The exact same thing.
Exactly that.
So human beings are playing checkers, and God decides to also play checkers.
Yeah.
You know?
Back to the Bible here.
It's like, I do know how to play that Star Trek chess.
I wish they invented something funner
Then checkers or chess?
than chess is the funnest game alive. Did you know?
Would it be funner if you were better at it?
It would be a lot funner. It would be a lot funner.
A lot funner.
Some guy I was playing against the other day, I made a Bible Beater podcast account.
Do people play you?
Yeah, all the time.
Like that from the pod?
What's
your handle?
It's I'm not sure off memory. Let me get my phone. It is
Bible Beaters podcast.
It's the Bible Beater podcast underscores.
Do not put there's no S?
No.
Then don't even
Bible
do
underscore
not play,
Beater
no,
underscore
no,
podcast.
That's not what it is.
That's what it is.
That's not what it is.
That's what it is, Kyle. When I first made this account, this was going to be my serious account.
How are people supposed to find anything if you keep on calling the podcast the wrong name?
Well, I actually came up with the podcast.
Well, that's not what it's registered as. So forever, it's Bible Beaters, unchanged.
Well,
whether you like it or
the
not.
Bible Beater chess
Do not
account.
play that phony fake account. Do not look for it. Do not play
Anyways, this guy's like, "Do you have a podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, you fucking retard. It's in the name.
And then I proceeded to lose 5 games to this guy. And he was like, "I'm not going to listen to your podcast because you suck." And I
should have
thought,
been like, yeah, but it's not a chess podcast.
fair enough. I mean, I should have said that. I didn't say anything. I just was like, you know what? You got me, dude. Like, I don't know what to say. Dude, I started that account as my serious account. Like, I was like, because I play, like, when I'm in line at the grocery store or when I'm wasted all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so my rating...
And that's your excuse to yourself.
Well, at first, when I took this account seriously, I only played it on my computer. Like, I play on my phone, and I lose way more on my phone than on my computer. I got it up to 1900, and I was like, "This
that's
is
pretty good."
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's kind of leveled out where it should be at around like 1750. And then I played it
It's not bad.
as I always play it. Now it's just my main account, and my rating hovers around 1500, and I'm bad at chess. 1500, by the way, is the default rating when you make an account.
I like how, in my mind, you started an account, you played a bunch of noobs because you're not really ranked properly, went on a winning streak, got ranked higher than you should have been, and then fell back down.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. And you're like, well, I just wasn't trying anymore.
Yeah, I
Meanwhile,
learned.
nothing's changed.
Yeah, I'm not good, Kyle. The problem is,
Yeah.
I mean, this is boring, everybody. I can't talk about chess anymore.
Well, what's the problem? Problem is you do the Jerome.
Well, the problem is I only play 3-minute games because what you have to get good at chess, you really should play longer games and really think about your moves.
Mm-hmm.
I play kind of intuitive, shitty chess. But when you play 10, 15-minute games, people, like, when you're winning, people fucking just, to be douchebags, just grind down the clock. They'll just make you waste 15 minutes. They're like, well, I'm losing. Fuck this guy. And they'll just, I mean, not everybody, but enough where you're like,
Yeah.
I don't want to sit here for 12 minutes to finish. Like, it's checkmate in 2 moves, and this guy won't move, but he clicks on the, basically he runs down the time to be
Then you just start another game.
I mean, he could, but I only play 3-minute chess because if people are going to run out the clock, then it's whatever. It's 3-minute chess. Whatever. I'm clearly butthurt about that. Verse.
So look for the Bible Beater podcast, the wrong name.
Bible Beater Podcast.
Yeah, the wrong name for the podcast. And here's what you want to do. You want to search him.
You're going to want to study up on the Jerome,
You're gonna
the
wanna study up on
England
the
Gambit,
Jerome.
the Scandinavian, and the Polish. Those are like my 4 openings.
You're gonna want to get committed enough to that there's somewhat of an opening, and then you're just gonna want to stall the time. You're gonna want to stall the time.
That's the Canadian defense.
Yeah.
If anybody's interested in chess, look up Amon Hamilton, Canadian defense. It's the second funniest chess video of all time.
What's number 1?
The
The
Jerome
Jerome.
by Amon Hamilton. So back to the Bible.
Yeah, kings killed kings.
Never
That's
happen.
it.
That'll never happen in
Nope.
chess.
Huh?
Kings can't kill kings in
That's
chess.
true.
Kyle.
Queens can.
I posted a video on my
Bitches.
Facebook today of checkmate, a king checkmate. It's quite a good one. Never mind. Verse 3. So God says, I lifted you up, I'm going to kill you. Verse 3. So I'm about to consume Baasha and his house, and I will make your house like that of Jeroboam, son of Nebat. Dogs will eat those belonging to Baasha who die in the city, and the birds of the air will feed on those who die in the country. So God says, Jeroboam, your family's fucked. Baasha, kill his whole family. So he does. And then for 24 years, Baasha does exactly what Jeroboam's family did. And God's like, I picked another stinker. That's going to happen to you.
Like these people, God is speaking to them, telling them, commanding them to murder based on what they've done. And they heed no warning from that.
Yeah. I mean, it's the classic story of the Bible is.
And then religious people go, yeah, these fucking people do the same dumb shit every time. Can't believe it. They're just idiots.
That's what my mom says about me. She's like, you're a person that's gone to church their whole life and you don't believe. That's exactly the same. And I go, Mom, this is dumb. This is demonstrably dumb.
God hasn't talked to me.
Yeah.
If God told me to kill you, probably wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But then I would know he existed.
Also, he might, because that's his character. That's his nature.
I might have to kill you. That's wild.
Verse 5.
You think if God came down to Stacy and was like, yeah, Caleb has sinned. Caleb is actually the biggest, one of my
biggest fears.
The biggest sinners in the world.
I mean, come
He
on.
has
Come on.
The most famous blasphemy podcast
That might be
in the
true.
world. It is. The most famous.
That's actually badass. That should be our new, instead of the One True Podcast. Actually, One True Podcast is
I
pretty
love
good.
One True Podcast. One True Podcast is dope.
But most famous blasphemy podcast is a sweet claim to fame.
That is pretty cool too. Most famous blasphemy. Most amount of blasphemy
Did you-
for sure. It's all about disrespecting God. That's what he hates the most.
I found another podcast. I think you've heard of it. Sorry,
No, that's it.
I found another podcast. It's called the Bible-ish podcast, I think, and they claim to be the only comedy Bible podcast. So I messaged.
Fuck off.
Yeah, it's like two girls, and they're like,
I never heard of it.
"We drink wine, and
Why did we just plug that horseshit on our better podcast?
well, I mean, I didn't mean to plug it. I was just saying it existed. But their thing is like, we're crazy. We drink wine and read the Bible stories, and they're like, they're not
my
crazy.
I know. Here's what the new thing is. I did not come up with this. I'm going to pull a Caleb.
Yeah.
I feel like these are not my words. I feel like I have to do that for everything that I think is funny. But
That was a great self-burn.
so I heard someone say on a podcast that women, they're trying to be funny now, right? They've been
As a people group.
as a people. They've gotten independence from the shackles of being a housewife in the 60s and 70s, and now they're trying to be funny, right? But they don't have it. They
There's
women,
plenty of funny women.
No, there's not, and there's absolutely none. But they're like, women just got Beavis and Butthead humor. Like that's where they're at in society. It's just silly voices and fart jokes.
Boo. I think there's tons of funny chicks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Jen Grant.
Yes, I think people are funny.
Kate
It is
Belton.
Hyperbole. Okay, those are two ones that aren't funny. All right, move go on.
You
Kate
don't
Belton ghosted me and
You don't even know who
to
Jennifer
do
Grey
the
is.
Have You Met Chad podcast. So I don't know who that is.
She's like I think she's the
Like
funniest.
how you listed two people can't actually look up.
I mean, who else is funny that's a girl? Camilla. Camilla's hilarious.
She's not.
She's funny to me, okay,
She's
pal?
Beavis and Butthead funny.
Beavis and Butthead sucks, though.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly my point.
Okay, but Camilla's not that.
No, I was kidding.
She's
about
like
that.
more
I
like-
knew you were going to defend your bae.
Well, she's more like esoteric, like...
She says things wrong and you laugh at her.
Who's the guy? Yes,
That is exactly what you do.
Who's the guy that looks like a giant penis with a huge nose? Dimitri Martin. That guy. She's kind of like got like esoteric, weird Dimitri Martin humor. Like ex-boyfriend, current husband. That's funny to me.
That is funny, yeah.
All right. I think I proved my point.
Yeah, you proved your point. My wife's funny. My wife's actually funny.
Verse 5. As for the other events...
But my whole point is they say they're crazy and it's not crazy.
No, it's not crazy
It's
at
not
all.
crazy one bit.
They're like, we drink wine on air. I'm like, I'm drinking hell yes right now.
I'm like, I had to get TikTok. I didn't have to, but Heavy Mid Chad podcast has TikTok. So
God damn it!
I was
Real fucking bullshit move, by the way, putting Chad on the Bible Beater stream. As I hate you riding my coattails to fucking pump Chad.
my coattails.
I know that you would hate that. That's why I said that.
You son of a bitch.
It's actually my own coattails that I'm riding.
Cross promo, baby.
Fuck you. Okay, what's your point?
I forgot now. Doesn't
Okay.
matter.
As for the other events of Baasha's reign,
Yeah, where it's just all
God, the interrupter in
It's
full
not just-
fucking form
it's
today.
Not just it's every fucking. It's every comedy's like there's like Adriana Appalucci is hilarious. There's female comics that I like, but the average fucking funny dude for the average funny woman, the only thing I've ever seen online that I think is funny is a weird noise and a scrunched up face. That's every fucking joke. It's just a scrunched up face where they have multiple chins making some weird, crazy sound that they think is off the wall, by the way. They think they're acting like a fucking lunatic. Meanwhile, Caleb is pulling his dick out in front of kids running across rugby fields as a casual Saturday.
I mean, not casual. It's only happened 4 times.
It's a casual Saturday. 4 times flashed thousands of children.
As for the other events of Baasha's reign,
Until, like, I see a woman streaking across a rugby field, ripping her bush out, then we'll be on the same terms. Then we'll be playing the same ball game.
dude, all right.
Like Whitney Cummings' podcast is probably the funniest female
The
podcast.
plastic surgery podcast.
And the only thing funny about it is men coming on
She
there
thinks it's-
shitting on her.
Dude, honestly, I should have listed her. I saw her at the Comedy Store,
Yeah, she's funny.
and she was like, did I say? I mean,
No,
yeah.
you haven't.
Dude, I saw her at the Comedy Store, and she was like, yeah, so I had some fucking sex. I had some nudes leaked, and then blah, blah. This guy in the front row leans over to his other guy friend. She's like, you fucking looked at him, didn't you? And he's like, yeah. She's like, bet you didn't think you'd have to answer to me, huh? You fucking pervert. And she just fucking dresses this guy down to the point where he was like sitting back and it's like, we're all dying laughing. He felt
That's
bad.
great.
She was like, asking him personal questions about it, like, what'd you like about my nipples and shit? And he was so uncomfortable. It was fucking hilarious.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, that's justice, right? That's
Yeah. That's real comedy.
that's the only
That's a
way
real
to
comic
take that
move.
back is like, you're a fucking perv, and you didn't think you'd have to answer to me in person, did you?
And now this is how you have to do that? On like a Zoom call?
What are you doing?
Did you look at my tits?
Oh, you're talking about Kyle's looking at his tablet because only stand-up that exists now is fucking Zoom stand-up, and it sucks. That's not stand-up. It doesn't count.
No, it doesn't.
It's fucking brutal.
I love the comics that have nothing. They have nothing else going on in their life that they feel like they have to do that.
Yeah, it's... I've been...
Like I'm writing a sketch, filming it, that's off the table.
What do you
It's
mean?
too much. No, for them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Doing. I mean, don't do another.
It's
podcast.
performance
not a
art.
podcast.
It's performance art. You need a crowd. It needs to be live.
But I've seen and I've seen a video.
Imagine doing Zoom theater, like Zoom Broadway.
Oh God, Broadway sucks.
I know
in
it
the first
sucks
place.
already, but put it on Zoom.
I would. You know what? I would prefer that because then I could just look away, and it wouldn't be there. That's the best part about watching Broadway on a laptop is that you can turn your head and there's no longer Broadway.
When's the last time you watched Broadway on your laptop?
Never.
Yeah.
The best part about watching stand-up in a Zoom is you could have like porn beside it and just be jerking off.
I mean, I jerk off to stand-up sometimes. Like Doug Stanhope fucking the football player. That's a sexy bit.
That's a.
All right.
Yeah.
Moving on. Verse 5. As for the other events of Baasha's reign, what he did and his
uncomfortable with
achievements, are they not written in the book of the annals of kings of Israel? Baasha rested with his fathers and was buried in Tirzah, and Elah, his son, succeeded him as king.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, sorry.
Moreover, the word of the Lord came through the prophet Jehu.
See, that is divine intervention right there.
Yeah.
Right? A king dies, gets replaced by the guy that murders him. His kid replaces him.
Yeah, Jehu, son of Hanai, to Baasha and his house, because of all the evil he had done in the eyes of the Lord, provoking him to anger by the things he did, and becoming like the house of Jeroboam, and also because he destroyed it.
I imagine the people that...
Dude, listen
Yeah.
to that!
I didn't hear that.
Oh my God. So, moreover, the word of the Lord came through the prophet Jehu, son of Hanai, to Baasha and his house, because of all the evil he, that's Baasha, had done in the eyes of the Lord, provoking him, the Lord, to anger by the things he, Baasha, did, and becoming like the house of Jeroboam. So the Bible acknowledges that that's why he was punished, is because
he came like Jeroboam.
he did the same things. And then it says, and also because he destroyed it, meaning the house of Jeroboam. So he's being punished
for the thing God commanded him to do?
Not really commanded, but said would happen. God said Jeroboam's going to die. So he was God's instrument, God's fucking hammer or sword, if you will.
Yeah.
And then God was like, by the way, that was some bullshit that you did that and you should be punished for it. Somebody had to do it and I'm punishing you for doing it. That's like Judas betrayed Jesus.
Yeah.
There's a prophecy that someone will betray God. So this was actually like one of the hinge points for losing my faith. So the fact that there's a prophecy means that it had to be fulfilled, meaning there was somebody that God created that was doomed to betray Jesus, and that person's going to hell, meaning...
That's a good point.
So God created at least one soul that had never had a chance. Never had a chance. Created to be condemned. And I was like, that's not justice. Fuck this God. Fuck this book. That's like probably the main thing.
Like how Christians read that and go, well, it's not me, though.
Well...
As if...
They read it... No, this is what Christians say. He chose to do it. And I'm like, well... They're like, it didn't have to be Judas. It had to be someone, but whoever did it chose to. And I'm saying...
But that means there was zero chance...
That no one would choose...
That no one would do it. That Jesus would go through his whole life and die of old age.
Yeah, there's zero chance.
Meaning that it's forced.
But
that there is intervention.
Exactly. But they say, well, it's just the dummy that chose to do it. Somebody was going to choose. I don't know how they disassociate. Because you can't make God an asshole. That's how. But... Mm-hmm. That seems to me a clear violation of all logic.
I think
and reason.
like a good video I saw back in the day when I was like into like looking up atheism stuff is there's I don't know how prevalent this type of thing is, but in your church did they ever bring like real world objects and explain how this couldn't be made without God? That's my favorite. Like
a watch, like the watchmaker metaphor.
Perfect. I never even heard that. What's that one?
Well, if you're walking through the woods,
dude, I'm super into watches now. I just bought a watchmaking tools. It's
an argument for creation. So if you were walking through the desert and you found a watch on the ground, would you assume that someone made it and put it there, or that it just evolved?
In what context?
Just you.
Am I the only person in existence?
You're walking through a place that basically you're going through the bottom of the Marianas. No,
fine. Am I aware that there's other people in existence, or am I alone, or am I?
I've never really even.
Or am I
considered
Adam?
This. The point is that a watch doesn't just spontaneously combust. Someone made it. That's what they think.
Combust is the opposite of what you mean.
I know.
Appear.
I say spontaneously combust as a fucking catch-all for...
Well, it's incorrect.
I know that, Kyle. Sometimes I talk wrong to be funny, and it really annoys me when people correct me. I did that one on purpose, too, you fucking asshole. Like, I know it's the annals of the kings of Israel, not the anals.
Yeah, I thought it was anals. But yeah, the only way that watch metaphor works, Christians are retarded, because that would
preaching to the choir.
Would imply that it's more likely that God made a watch and put it there than it is that someone else on the earth that has watches and make watches went to the same place as a human being and left a watch there.
I think I did a bad job presenting the argument.
Okay.
The argument is that, so if you found a watch, you would assume somebody made it and left it in the desert.
Correct.
So then zoom out from that metaphor, Earth being the perfect balance that it is.
But I've never seen anyone make an Earth. I can watch videos of people making watches.
Very good point, Kyle.
I can observe someone making a watch. If someone makes an Earth, I'll be like, yeah, there's probably a fucking God. If human beings get to the point where we're creating planets like that, then yeah, I could be like, I can extrapolate that into, I guess God could be a more evolved human or anything else. At that point, they are a God. If you're creating worlds, so yeah.
If we're in a simulation, there's that. I saw a funny argument.
The simulation thing is annoying me now, but
it's very annoying. I saw a funny argument on Reddit that's like, God is an atheist. So God,
because he doesn't believe in any gods.
Well, he believes that he always existed, right? No one created him, and he created everything.
Did we know that?
Well, that's
because we talked about that before.
Truly, it's infinite regression. So I always say to Christians, I worship the God that made your God, and they go, my God's the only God, and he made everything, and that's where it stops. He's the beginning, and everything is after him. And it's like, how the fuck do you know that? So it's just a different way of wording what I just said.
Yeah.
That God, so like
Then they go, where did God come from? And they go, he was always there.
Yeah.
But then you can't go, the
Energy-
universe was always there
That's
without
what I
God,
always
even
say.
though we don't believe that.
Energy, matter, antimatter. Who knows? Like the origin is nearly impossible for the human mind to comprehend. It's like infinity. Can you really,
No.
the hotel with infinite doors, and all that
Infinite
shit?
mass that's constantly expanding. I know what the words are. I don't know what that really. I can't grasp
And
the
regardless
concept
of
that.
how we got here, we're here. It just seems like however we got here, if it was the God that made us, he doesn't seem to give a fuck. Like your book says he gives a fuck. And in fact, in your book, he doesn't give a fuck. He actually hurts people more than he helps them. In fact, the entire time.
I like the examples they use for like what couldn't exist without God. So there's this one, and it was like, I don't know, but he was from some fucking country where they wear like the hats with all the triangle colors on it.
Okay.
And he's like, this banana could not exist without God. Look how perfectly it fits into your hand.
Also,
Like it was made for you. Like
it's ringing. It's for you.
it's banana phone. Like the concept.
Yes, God. Hello?
And then he goes and he makes his hand into like the shape of what he thinks a banana would be. Like your hand's not always like this, and you're just sliding bananas in and out.
Also, it's perfect for jerking people off. It totally fits a cock in that hand. Exactly. Your mouth fits a cock all the way to the back of your throat if you really open it up.
If God wanted blowjobs, why did he give you teeth? That's the thing.
Wow. That's
profound.
That's profound. Watch Watchmaker, teeth blowjobs.
But the funniest thing about the banana one specifically and all the fruit thing, the beautiful stuff, humans created that.
Yeah.
A banana was this big, 2 inches big,
Well,
like 90% seeds.
true. I mean, we genetically engineered it. God created it. God gave us the tools, and we extrapolated.
We selectively engineered it. Yeah.
My favorite are the like hardcore evolutionists. Like,
We took what God made, which was inedible almost,
yeah,
and about this big and really starchy and almost not sweet at all. And we made it longer, bigger, seedless, and delicious.
yeah. Thanks, God.
Thanks, God. Perfectly shaped for our hand. The funniest thing is it was this big before.
Same like corn.
So yeah, you could have a handful of them.
Peas.
Same with corn, yeah, perfectly shaped to grab 30 in my hand.
That's pretty funny. Christians are so fucking dumb. I'm like on
It's
every
just funny
level.
to never ponder the existence of something. Like this guy is using it as his fuck you to atheists metaphor, and he's never pondered the existence of where a banana came
Like
from.
we genetically engineered it. Yeah.
He's never even thought about it. He just looks at it and goes, this is amazing that this exists. It has to be God, and he's never had a thought beyond that.
That guy should
Beyond
try-
that, everything, he like looks at his house and goes, this is amazing that God made me this house. Ignoring the fact that
How many?
humanity made all the luxuries we've ever
I
had.
had to take my power fist planer to the tops of his fucking walls before we put the
That's God.
trusses on,
It's amazing how God leveled this wall right
and
now.
then smited it with an earthquake, so it all fell down right afterwards.
Really?
No,
Hiding your shoddy
that's
work.
just like I'm just
I
saying.
was like, that'd be poetic.
Also, no, like God gets credit for making all the stuff, but he never gets blamed for fucking fires. You know, whatever the fuck. Any natural disaster, they're like, shoot crap.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he's going to get credit for making all the bananas, he should also get credit for the tsunamis that wiped out Fukushima and all that shit.
If you look into this microscope, you will see the syphilis that
God created.
God created that has now infected my brain.
Or, yeah. I mean, I was going to take that to the nth extreme with, like,
Bacteria is more of a God-like phenomena to me. You know what I mean?
no.
Like the negative, because generally speaking, unless you're a choiner,
Yeah.
you're not genetically engineering viruses.
Yeah. I mean, they
Unless
can,
you're
though.
a joiner.
I mean, other people do it also, but
Like
choiners do
who?
it.
Name another person.
Everyone in the not everyone. The United States engineers
Weaponize
viruses.
the viruses.
You think that
United
the Wuhan?
States has never
you think
weaponized the virus and released it on people.
Are you fucked?
What?
What about smallpox blankets? You fucking asshole!
That's not genetically okay.
They weaponized the virus.
Apparently that's a myth, by the way.
That's not a myth. I mean, says who? Fox News.
No, I saw a thing on it.
You saw a thing.
Yeah.
Stats.com.
No.
Where? That's not a myth.
Fox News.
I mean, that I.
Not a myth that they gave him smallpox. They did give him smallpox, but apparently the myth is they didn't wrap it up in blankets and intentionally give it to them.
I don't believe that. I think.
No, I don't really care what you believe. I don't give a shit if they did or didn't, to be honest with you.
Well, you said no one's weaponized the virus except the chonies.
I meant genetically modified one. Like, the point is...
What about the nerve agents in World War I and II?
I'm just saying, God... Those aren't viruses.
They're not viruses, but they're chemical...
I'm saying viruses, they, like, mutate on their own. They're more godlike to me because we don't understand them, is my point.
Yeah, they're not living and they're not dead.
We're not manipulating them at will. Like, if the Choiners did it, right, which maybe they did, maybe they didn't, they accidentally made that virus. They didn't design it, like, write a bunch of virus code and put it in a machine and pop out that virus. It's a mutation
they worked with
of a virus that already exists that they fucked around with at best, you know?
Yeah, so that's like finding, I don't know.
We're taking a bunch of random elements, sticking it in we can 3D print something for $5. You know what I mean? That's fucking crazy. And we don't go, that thing is God. But we go, a banana is, because it's simpler and we think it always existed when it never did.
To give a little bit of, I don't know, credence to...
Viruses are godlike.
They are. I'll give you that. But what I wanted to say was a lot of the stuff that we know now was mysteries, and they got like there's almost no other way to explain it other than spiritual. Like, how the fuck do diseases work? God smites people with disease, and then the Renaissance is really when Christianity should have died forever. They all thought in the French Revolution that we figured it out. Anyone that believes this is a retard. Like, they're all the best minds in France were like, if you believe this, you're a fucking idiot.
The Bible?
Yeah. Like,
oh, okay.
God is dead, all that shit, right? And yet it still existed. All those people died thinking that they solved Christianity and it's going to be out of mainstream by the end of like their kids' lives. They really believed that when they died.
I mean, that makes sense why you think that. Here's all the evidence why it's wrong.
Yeah. So that's when they actually started to get the evidence. That was like 300 years ago. Now we have overwhelming evidence that this book is full of shit.
Yep.
But people, it has the history and tradition that they want to believe it anyways.
It's the drunk barroom argument that's effectively dead is gone, and that's what the Bible is. You just get to argue over things you can't solve. Like back when you couldn't pull out your phone and just have the answer, arguing with your friends while you're drinking about something, exact opposite points that can be looked up now immediately that you had to go to the fucking library to look up back then.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It
That shit was fun, and it's the same thing because the Bible's full of shit that it doesn't really answer that you just get to argue. The fun part is thinking up a solution. Right? He kind of trapped you with that. No one knows the answer, so you got to think up some fucking backwards ass logic that makes him wrong, and that's fun. Not actually knowing the answer but still arguing anyways that's a human pastime.
Do you know what you would like, Kyle? I'm going to plug a podcast of a friend of ours, the Philosopher's Stone podcast. Have you ever listened to it?
Yeah.
In fact, Jordan was on.
Bit of it,
Jordan's on the Patreon. I think he's the first episode, right?
He's the first episode of the Patreon.
They had
really good Patreon, really interesting.
So, yeah,
Jordan's a funny guy. The podcast that he has with Sam is funny. He's funny.
He's too dry.
He's funny like Camilla is funny to me.
He's weird.
He's weird and funny by accident because what he thinks is a joke is never funny to me.
Oh, I think he's hilarious. I think he's just too subtle and too dry for his own good. Like, he's pretty smart. But
it is an interesting, funny podcast.
To your point about like arguing how there was no answers, like people had to argue.
Yeah.
They just did an episode on the sophists, and the main sophist guy, I forget his name, but his whole point was there's no such thing as truth. There's
I've tried to make that point.
Two sides.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're the sophist. This is a Greek guy. Socrates and Aristotle are saying, truth, like blah, blah, blah. And he's like, there is no truth. There's two sides of an argument. And I'm such a good arguer. I'll take the weaker one and win every time. Meaning there's no such thing as truth because I can prove through rhetoric basically
but
that truth
is judges and the judges think there is. So,
but it's what I'm telling you is that there's a whole school of thought that agrees with you.
I don't really think that.
I know.
And what's the sophist? And they argued about that?
The sophism is whatever you say is true isn't necessarily true, and we can argue the opposite with rhetoric. I probably didn't make that a very good point there. I recommend listening to the Philosopher's
Philosopher's Stone to actually get the point.
Yeah. exactly that. I want to read this last page, but I feel
Read
like
it.
we're running out of time.
What are we at, Young T?
Hour 10.
I think we'll leave it for next week. Next week, we read about Eliah, king of Israel, Zimri, king of Israel, Omri, king of Israel.
Did
And
they
then,
all die?
yes, but
Did
then
they kill each other?
I actually haven't read ahead and I forget because I don't. They're minor kings, but after that, Ahab becomes king of Israel, and we get to the prophet Elijah, and I've been hyping it for weeks now, and I cannot wait for this fucking story. He gets fed by ravens.
Fed by ravens?
Yeah, he's
What
like
does that mean?
he's a wild man that lives.
Birds come from the sky and feed him.
Yeah, he's just lives in the desert where there's no food, and ravens bring him food. You know how like crows,
What, God was out of bread?
yeah, manna from heaven could have been. There's different miracles. They kind of progress, but they're never ever like get a computer.
Like in
They never get like
birds feed him. Who?
electricity.
That's
none
what
of
I mean. Like the miracle is the miracle is shit that I guess will keep you alive, but you don't really want. Like a miracle would be if instead of manna or instead of a bird,
He got an
feeding
In-N-Out
me-
cheeseburger.
yeah, yes, that's what I mean. Or a fucking steak already cooked on a plate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're
A
saying.
hot shower in the middle of nowhere when you haven't had one in a year.
I'm so sick.
That's a miracle.
I'm so
A bird feeding you only what birds can get. So worms.
yeah. Well,
You're eating worms and what? Seeds at best?
I'll just read ahead. You will drink from the brook. The Lord.
Okay, so I got to drink water from the ground.
Yeah.
So I got to get on my hands and knees. That's a miracle. I'm licking a puddle. That's a miracle.
The ravens brought him bread and meat in the morning, and bread and meat in the evening, and he drank from the brook.
The meat of what? Of
Some-
what a bird can carry?
Down, dead animal, some dead raccoons. There's
A
fucking
piece of it.
yeah, but a
Getting
lot of them.
piece of rotting meat.
Yes,
So I'm getting
and bread.
Okay. So I'm getting a bunch of
So you got like Finding Nemo seagulls going mine, and grabbing fucking French
so I
fries.
can make myself like the world's shittiest meatloaf if I cook it.
Yeah, I mean that's what God does. It's a miracle, Kyle.
Mm-hmm. God gives you the tools, but he lets you do it on your own. I've noticed.
It's
God
really
has never solved he doesn't really solve the entire puzzle for you. God likes, or he's the dumbest.
hence the expression "the Lord helps those who help themselves." But yeah, you're totally right. As you read
hilarious-
the Bible, it's always humans doing the shit and God taking the
What
credit.
kind of a solution is that if he isn't fucking with you to be like, oh, you're starving in the desert and you're thirsty. Okay. Here's a bunch of water on the ground. All right. That's not bad.
It's a
I
river.
can take that. A river. Yeah. A bunch of water on the ground. I got to get on my hands and knees and stick my face in it. Could be full of parasites. Might not be. We don't know.
No, he didn't get parasites.
Clean water. Fine. That's fine. That's not that much effort. Okay. He's hungry. Could I get maybe some large animal to die in front of him and land on a fire?
I mean that
Would cook it,
You're right.
right? And probably let him eat for days.
Why not
No,
just-
what I'm going to do is get thousands of birds to take a peck of gram of meat and drop it at him at once.
Every morning and every night.
Every morning. That seems efficient.
Dude, how you said water on the ground, that reminds me of a hilarious thing Simeon did one time. You remember Simeon, he's been on the podcast before. He might come on next week.
Who's that? Is that
My-
your like
My youngest
is that
bro.
your fat Teletubby friend?
My youngest bro. we were playing crib and he puts his water on there was no room on whatever. We were playing on like an ottoman or something. There was no table.
Yeah.
And he puts his water down and then he kicks it over and he's just like there's water on the ground now. He didn't like just the nonchalant way he didn't clean it up. He just knocked it over and said, "There's water on the ground now," as if it were a fact. And we finished the game of crib. And then he stood up and stepped in it in his socks.
That's hilarious. We have a friend. He hasn't been here in a while, but Kyle Patton used to do that all the time.
The spill.
He'd spill or puke wherever he was, spill or puke,
Yeah.
beer. He's usually involved in both of the scenarios, and just stare at it and go, "Oh no," or just go, "There, beer."
There's
Or
beer
puke.
on the ground now.
Yeah, just announce what happened without
Um,
making any move to remedy it.
I brought this Bible Atlas book.
Back from the Holy Land, right?
I bought this in Israel. It's written by a bunch of scholars, and
Bunch of J Dogs.
mostly J Dogs, 2 Americans, I think. Maybe we got Hebrew, Israel, New York, Near East, no, Tel Aviv. Yeah, I mean, I'll just read you the names. Yohanan Harari, Mikhail Aviona, Ziev Safari, Anson Rainey, and Steve Notley. Sounds like a bunch of J-Dogs. But
Except for Steve Notley.
they wrote, that's the American guy. But they wrote this about what we're just reading. I thought this was a kind of a good summary. So we've been reading about the civil wars in Israel, and it's been a little bit confusing.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of, a modern description of what's happened in the last 6 chapters. So, quote, a state of belligerence between Judah and Israel continued throughout the reigns of Rehoboam, Abijah, Asa, kings of Judah, and the dynasties of Jeroboam and Baasha in Israel. After Shishak's campaign, both kingdoms were doubtless exhausted. The first open conflict we hear about took place in the short reign of Abijah. After a bitter confrontation at Zemariam, the Israelites retreated, leaving the towns of Bethel, Jasna, Ephraim, at the mercy of the Judeans. Abijah thus pushed the border between the two nations north of Beth El, probably encompassing the district of Benjamin, to the tribal border, as reflected in the tribal towns of the list. That probably made no sense to anybody, because I'm looking at the blank stare on your face. But what they basically summarized as there's 3 generations of kings, one in the north, one in the south, that are constantly at war. That's just the modern parlance of the Bible 6 chapters. Like the Bible says the Lord smited this guy and then rose up this other guy. In real world terms, there's 3 generations of wars, 2 generations in the north.
And God is claiming all the victors as himself.
Well,
or as his own doing.
That's just the way they saw the world. I mean,
nice armpit, by the way.
Christians, there's an argument to be made. That's what Christians used to say, that the way things are is because God wills it this way. And so if you were a tyrant who wanted to be king, you're like, if God, like Genghis Khan said, I am the punishment of God. Like, if God didn't want me to be king, why am I king?
That's a good point.
And so that's kind of like...
If God didn't want us to have this podcast calling him out for having the shittiest book of all time.
Hey, God, we're calling you out, you stupid fag.
Yeah, you're super gay, even though you hate it, apparently, which you obviously love it. You obviously love it.
You're
it's
self-hating
clear you
gay.
love it, yeah. And you can't even really read or write.
Or whoever you chose can't really read or write.
No, you can't, because you're doing it. If you're taking credit for the murders and all the... You take credit for... You could just get another guy to burn this book and write a new book. If you really didn't like it.
That's the only book, Kyle.
Why? Why can't God
that's
write a new book?
the one we have.
Why can't God write a new one?
Oh, man, we're going to get way in the weeds here. So, did you learn anything today, Kyle? I feel like we need to wrap this up at some point.
Do you?
I mean...
You don't want to podcast forever? And
I don't think people want to listen forever.
You know what your hell might be?
Fucking getting interrupted by you constantly.
No, this isn't connected to the internet, and you're in hell. We have no listeners. You've never actually looked. You've never seen the data.
It's actually not so bad.
Yeah, it's not bad.
In fact, if I'm in hell right now, it's pretty not bad.
There's hells in hell.
Yeah, there's hell yes.
There's hell yes.
Passion fruit, Alabama passion.
It's not hell yet, but in 1,000 years, when we're on episode
1,000 years of oppression.
When we're episode like 30,000 something.
In 1,000.
When we're finally done the Bible. When we're finally done the Bible in 1,000 years. That's when the hell really starts.
So
then it's just knife sharpening stories.
Oh God.
You're on the Chad podcast now. CandyCopy.ca/.
Can we make this end?
Yeah,
can you end my suffering?
Well, it wouldn't be hell if I ended your suffering.
So this goes on forever?
To end ever. Yeah, absolutely.
So here's the deal. We now have a place where you can give us money, and you should give us money because
hell yeah, dude.
We're doing God's work.
You owe us money.
You in fact
owe us money.
Yeah, like
you've incurred the debt, a debt.
2 years of debt we've done for free, and now you owe us. And if you don't pay us, God will smite you like Baasha and Jeroboam's family. You will be burned like dung. Okay? And now I want to read to you from 2 Corinthians.
Ironically, he does exist when we need money. When it's in our best interests, God does exist.
Remember remember this. Verse 2 Corinthians 9, verse 6. Remember this. When listening to podcasts, donate. Okay, sorry. Remember this when listening to podcasts. Whoever listens to podcasts and does donate sparingly will also reap sparingly. They will listen to shit podcasts with girls as hosts. And whoever sows generously will also reap generously. They will listen to good podcasts where the blasphemy is funny. Each man should give what he has decided in his heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. All right? That's what I say to my wife as she gags on my giant cock all the way down to the balls. God loves a cheerful giver, and you must take this.
I know I have my cock and balls in your mouth, but put a smile on that face.
Yeah, cheerfully. I would like some cheerful... Yeah, but like with a nice, like an upbeat tone to it, so to speak.
I want you enjoying it.
Man, she better not hear this. She's like, never mind.
What?
We can't pull the curtain back. Each man should give to what he's decided in his own heart. So I'm talking to each one of you. You should give what's decided in your own heart. Be it the disciple, be it the follower, be it the true believer, or be it the apostle. Each one of you should give what's in your own heart.
Look deep down.
And give, each man should give in his own heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion. For God loves a cheerful giver, and God is able to make grace abound to you, so that in all things, at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work. As it is written, he has scattered abroad his gifts to the poor. His righteousness endures forever. And if that didn't make sense to you, you haven't given us enough money. The more money you give us, it will be directly deposited into bottles of alcohol that I will drink. And you might see some of it again. You might not. Who knows?
Yeah, you'll get it back. It's seed money.
That's what they say. I mean...
You'll get it back in own bottles of alcohol. For every drink you buy Caleb, you receive 2 in return.
Shalom.
Throughout your life.
I think we made our point.
If you'd like to support the podcast, it's patreon.com/BibleBeaters. CanadaComedy.ca for the website, or all the links for the social media, the Patreon, the YouTube channel, Canada Comedy Network on YouTube, for the video every Wednesday. Sunday night, Sunday morning, skip church, listen to the Bible Beaters.
Fuck yeah.
I'll be your savior in the streets. We'll break under the sheets, kneel down and witness this immaculate erection, baby.